Yes, we are going to discuss about the uh, hurdles, how to end the hurdles in utilization of resources in mathematics lab or some in classrooms. So generally, the mathematics teachers face many problems in utilization of uh, teaching learning resources in classrooms as well as in the laboratory compared to the other subjects. Why? Because uh, the nature of the adults may differ from other subjects. So why? Because the nature of the adults and problems of the mathematics subjects are vary from other subjects and vary from place to place and vary from institutions to institutions, but the utilization of the resources effectively depends upon the um commitment and planning of the mathematics teacher only. So to handle the hurdles is not easy. So for that, the concerned teacher can get should have the commitment to solve the problems, to shoot out the hurdles with proper attention. Then only you can utilize the resources in properly. So the proper planning is needed to the concerned teachers to use the resources properly. So for that, the place should support, the institution has to support, the student has to support, the lab has to support, the environment of the class also should be supported. So we can say the problems may vary, the orders may vary from institution to institution. The success of the utilization of the resources depends upon and the encountering of the problems depends upon the three elements. One is commitment of the mathematics teacher and the planning of the teacher. That means the activities which were have to be planned in a proper manner, and the execution of planning is very very important. These three things we have to keep in mind when we are planning to utilize the resources in a right way. So how to handle what are the hurdles generally the mathematics teachers face in the schools to utilize the resources, we will discuss in one by one. If you take the first one, the main problem is our course, whatever we take 8th class, 9th class, whatever maybe, that lags behind. That means the syllabus will be lagged behind, and the activities if we conduct, we cannot move forward the syllabus, so we cannot complete the syllabus in time. So the course lags behind, we can say. This is the main hurdle in utilization of the resources in mathematics subjects. Then how to handle this problem hurdle is we can see. For this, to encounter this problem, the teacher has to plan the activities in advance, and the planning should be recorded, and the conclusion should be recorded to guide the children. So the teacher has to motivate and encourage the students, to motivate the students and involve the students actively in the activities in advance. So this is the one way we can encounter the hurdle to avoid the problem of the course. This is one thing. If you go to the second one, the skewed teacher student ratio means the teacher student ratio in the there will be one teacher and there will be 40 students generally in the classroom. So it is not easy to handle the students with the in utilization of the resources. So how to encounter this problem means we have to make the class into the small groups with 5 to 6 groups consisting with 4 to 5 members, and we should encourage the students to contribute from the group and within the group from the each members. In this way we can overcome the hurdle of the skewed student teacher ratio. And the third thing is indiscipline problem. So if we focus on the, if the teacher is concentrating on the activities, automatically there will be some disturbance in the classroom. So to avoid this, to encounter this problem, the teacher has to encourage the students participation actively, to be involved, and encourage them to ask themselves the question and answers for their investigation or activity. In this way we can encounter the hurdle, or we can overcome the hurdle of the indiscipline problem. And we move to the fourth one, lack of trained attendant in the laboratory. So having the most of the schools in India are not having the laboratories. If they have also, we are not having the trained attendant or lab assistant in mathematics laboratory. So how we can overcome that? Means we have already discussed about the trained attendant. They should have at least the mathematics background with graduation, and he should be trained in mathematics methodology. But it is a great problem. Then how to encounter this problem means we have to encourage the student to expertise in the activity first. If the attendant is not there in the laboratory, so select a student who are in the expert in the subject compared to his friends. We should identify the brilliant student in the class, and we should make him expertise in the activity to guide the children and assist the children in the classroom or laboratory. And if there is a person and is not trained, then we have to motivate the untrained attendant to explore by our training. This is the way we can encounter the problem of lack of trained attendant. And the next one is time construction. We don't get more time to conduct these activities or demonstrations. Why? Because the subject math itself is a big subject which deals with problem solving and all these things. So we don't get enough time. If we get time also, we cannot perform all these activities, and we cannot demonstrate all the experiments in the class itself or laboratory itself. So we don't get more periods for this one. To encounter this problem, the teacher has to plan how many periods are there in the timetable for a week, to the mathematics subjects. Then seeing that one, see how many periods are required to the activity. Then he has to club all the periods which are required in a week and utilize and arrange the periods in continuously to do the activities or demonstrations in the laboratory. In this way we can encounter the problem of time constraint. The sixth one is lack of awareness of available resources. So always we need to the math teacher should have the knowledge what are the available resources in the laboratory or in the office or school or somewhere. Otherwise it will become difficult to the mathematics teachers. So how to encounter? Generally we don't get the time to list out all these things. So always before that one only, to encounter this problem, the mathematics teacher has to prepare a list of resources available in the laboratory, school and in the office or wherever it may be. Then display the list of items or resources in the laboratory or in the classroom to utilize when it is required. In this way we can encounter this problem. And the seventh one is wastage of lot of time in finding the operators. So even though we have the idea of the list of items available in the laboratory, we cannot find whenever we require immediately. So for this we need to educate, or we need to give the prior information to the lab assistant to arrange whatever we require in advance. So in this way we can encounter this hurdle effectively. Next, the problem of hazardous. So there will be some short circuits and power shocks in the laboratory or in the classrooms for activities. We will face many difficulties or struggles with the students. It may cause to damage the life of the students sometimes. So we should inform and educate the students regarding the hazardous to be occurred in the laboratory. So for that, that should be informed and trained by the students to come across this hazardous effectively. Next, the problem of getting the supply of sheets and paper xeroxed. So always we need some problems and all these things of sheets, paper xeroxes and all these things. To overcome this problem, we need to go for the online ICT tools like By.G.B.Pathi, Wiki Class, Tutor, Group, email and other alternatives. These are some other alternatives we can find. Then automatically we have to go for ఒక 5 నిమిషాల తర్వాత మేము జాయిన్ అవుతా, మీరు కంటిన్యూ గారు. So these are some alternatives to overcome this problem. So in this way we can encounter or handle the hurdles in mathematics utilization of resources.